Hi,
Hey,
Michael.
good afternoon, Jan.
Do you see me? I don't think so.
No, no, not video's not started yet.
Yeah, because the camera doesn't want to start up. I
Hmm.
don't know why. I can
Okay.
imagine because he started with asking me when I logged in Discord,
Mm-hmm.
"Are you human?" First time he asked me, and now the camera doesn't want to start up.
Uh-huh.
But
Well,
it's
yeah,
probably
that's why it can't verify that you're human. It can't. You could just be a robot sitting there at the keyboard.
perhaps he doesn't recognize me because 2 days ago I entered my office. I was just a little bit too fast. I gave a little kick to the door, I think, to close it behind me.
Mm-hmm.
Then I realized that I forgot something, so I turned around, of course, with my head against the door.
Oh.
Now the biggest damage were my glasses. The lenses were still good, but for the rest, meanwhile, they
Mm.
repaired it so I can continue to work. Um, but my
Wow.
eye is a little bit blue. But okay,
Wow.
that's
That
nothing.
is rough. Yeah.
But the camera was not involved, so the camera should work.
Yeah.
Um, Wait, let me.
Well, we seem to have lost audio.
Is being
There we
analyzed now
go. Okay.
since a week already. It's a 1 terabyte disk. Um, try again.
Almost.
And perhaps. No, he tries and he doesn't get there.
Hmm.
Um, wait, let me try to see if I use. I know, Michael.
Ah.
It was human error.
Ah. All right.
And then start the Zoom session.
Yes. Yes.
I,
Good stuff to show today.
Subscription, I guess. I guess.
Yes, yeah, I'm really excited about that. It was like I was mentioning, all the pieces are there. It's just a matter of putting them
Mm,
in place. Um, so so yeah, there were a few things I needed to do to expose those pieces um, from Janaga JS and from Janaga Server, so that
mhm,
the Janaga replicator um, uh, package could take advantage of them. And
mhm.
yeah, once I did that, then it's like, well, just a few lines of code, and we have what we need.
Still okay on the video. It's a little bit blue and a
Oh
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah, not too bad.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see
All
subscriptions.
right.
I'm curious.
All right. Excellent. Yeah. So I'm going to start. Let's see. Where shall I start the story? Um, let's just go ahead and talk about the thing that we are shooting for. What we are trying to build is a mesh of replicators that are all connected to one another and pull facts according to specifications. So you've got some front-end replicators that are used for your mobile and web applications to connect to, and you've got some back-end replicators that are used for services. And the specification that the service uses in order to pull facts into the work that it needs to do, those control which facts come back to the back end. So jump from there to the Janaga replicator package or project. So this is the Docker Compose that we have been working towards. So we've got the front-end replicator, the back-end replicator. The back-end has the address of the front-end as an upstream. And they are both part of a bridge network so that they can talk to each other. And currently, I'm exposing both of them through host ports, 8080 and 8081, so that we can play around with both of them. Ultimately, the back end will be shielded off, so you just talk through the front end, but then you can see everything happening. Mm-hmm. So, where I want to start off today, let's go ahead and do this in a separate window here. I'll go to Janaga Replicator, and so I have published a new image for Janaga Replicator No Security Policies. So let me do a Docker compose pull, and I need to be inside of the mesh folder. So I do a Docker compose pull, and that gets the most recent version of the image that front-end replicator is based on. And back-end replicator says, hey, I'm the same image. I'll just come along for the ride. So if I yeah. So if I run it right now, I think it'll still do exactly the same thing as we did before. So let me let me go to Docker, and here's our mesh Docker compose that we created last week. I'll just go ahead and, well, I'll do this the right way. I'll do Docker compose down. The delete does the same thing. So that's down. And if I go up, then it starts that off. And I can see one of the replicators has already started. Was that both of them? Yeah, here's the front-end replicator started up. Yeah, here's the back-end replicator starting up. And they're both reporting good. So we've got security policies disabled and anonymous access allowed. That is the whole point of the no security policies. And those are mapped to some mounted folders. Well, I want to mount an additional folder. In fact, you know what? I'm going to switch from no security policies to a different image. So I'm going to use just the Janaga replicator image. So to get there, let me Control-C to stop that, and then Docker compose down, and we will see what we need for the other one. Basically, the things that no security policies have been doing for us automatically is setting up the folder structure so that we don't have any policies or authentication rules. But over here, we see we've got an authentication folder, which we created to demonstrate FusionAuth. Yeah, so I had created on my other machine this dev environment folder so that I could play around with things. So let's work our way up to using that. So we're going to use just Janaga replicator, which is the base image. So Docker compose pull shouldn't have to pull anything. Yeah, all that already exists. Since it's the base image, the layers for that base image have already been pulled. Docker pulls things in layers. It's like an ogre. So now if I do a Docker compose up, we will see there's going to be some problems. Wow! So we get our warning messages out of these things. What happened? In fact, it's easier to tease them apart if we look at just the logs for one of them. So yeah, we can see, boom, there's a problem. The problem is that Well, it's not logging out the problem. Okay, we need to fix some logging. The, oh, there it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Error initializing replicator. No security policies found at varlib replicator policies. So it's looking in this, this folder in the container for the policy files. So that means we need to mount something to that folder. So I'm going to create a couple of folders here, policies, and the other one is authentication, so that we have them all in dev environment. And for right now, they'll be blank. But yeah, then what I want to do here is mount the. Let's see, it's going to be this one. Can I copy relative path? There we go. Yeah, mount the bloom folder on the host to the. It's going to be varlib replicator authentication folder in each container. Because I always have to look up the syntax to do that anyway. Yeah, may as well get Copilot to do it for me. Okay, so what it just did, it created a volume. So dev environment authentication on the host mounts to varlib replicator authentication, and it did that for both of them. Oh yes, I need to make sure that those mounts volumes are read-only. Since I'm using the same folder in two containers, I think it'll complain if they are not read-only, because one could write to that that folder and then another one would see it, and that's just weird. File systems don't work that way. So there we go. We've got those as read-only, and then yeah, so do the same for policies
for policy, yeah.
and subscriptions. And we should be all good. So yep, dev environment policies, varlib replicator policies, etc. Both read-only. Thank you, Copilot. All right. So now I've got these three folders mounted into this Janag replicator. So now I can take care of this little issue right here. So I'm going to do a Control-C to quit. And then we'll do a Docker Compose down and Docker Compose up to bring in the latest configuration there. All right, and we still have errors.
Yep.
And the reason for these errors should be a little bit closer to where we want.
No file in the directory.
Exactly. So there's no security policy files found in the policies folder. Well, I need to tell it that's what I meant. If we just consider that no security policies means that, yeah, it's wide open, then you could very easily just forget those files and leave yourself open, and that's not good. So instead, I'm going to create a new file. This is going to be called no security policies. And there's nothing I need inside of that file. And for authentication, we'll go ahead and serve ourselves the step of seeing what that error message is, but it's going to give us an error message unless we have allow anonymous access. and no content there. So those marker files tell us, go ahead and leave this thing wide open. Anybody can connect, and anybody can create any fact and read any fact. Clearly not the way you want it to run in production. But
So the fact that the files are there, that's enough. They can be empty, but they have to be there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. Okay, stopping. Yeah, Docker Compose. Oh, I didn't need to Docker Compose down. I just needed to restart the containers in that case because I didn't change the Docker Compose file. Now this time I expected it to work, but it didn't. What was the problem? Right. So no security policies found. I might have the name wrong. Replicator, policies. Let's just make sure. I have not yet updated the documentation. That would be very helpful for me to update the documentation, and then I can just look on janaga.com for this. But that is coming. That is next. Fortunately, I am inside of the Janaga replicator repository, so I can see what my Docker files are. So Docker file for no security policies is this, and so I'm doing a makedir and a touch. So no security policies is the name of the file.
It's the same. Indices, yeah.
Yeah, let's just make sure I didn't. Yeah, it looks like I spelled it correctly. Okay. Let's do a little bit of sleuthing while we're here. Okay. So we'll go to files in here, and that way we can see what the file system looks like. And we can see that we have mounted something to var, lib, replicator. These are the three mounts. Here's policies. It shows policies as being empty. That's weird. That is weird. Okay. Okay, so, I think I think I know what the problem is. It's this relative path here. So this, I did the Docker Compose up inside of mesh, inside of this folder. So I needed to go out one in order to come back and get to the dev environment folder. So it's not dot, it's a double dot. Okay, well now I know. And in fact, I think it should have, yeah, right here, it created the dev environment folder. So you know what? Instead of doing that, I do kind of like that this is all contained within one folder. Let's keep it like this. Let's move these three things from here to mesh. What? Access denied. Okay. All right. For authentication. Oh, it's because. Is it because there's already a container running? Maybe. Maybe you can't modify a read-only mounted folder while it's running. All
Sounds
right.
logical.
Let's try this. Boom. Replace. Yeah, still doesn't like it. Okay, one at a time. No. Okay. Well, let's just Docker Compose down and see if unmounting it all entirely is sufficient. So, there we go. Huh. Wow. I have no idea why that is the case, but we'll just do it this way. I'm going to go into mesh and into dev environment, and then I'm going to touch authentication. allow anonymous access. That is really strange. Okay, we'll go back to this idea for right now. Let's reach out and use these folders. So that means I do need to Docker Compose down and then Docker Compose up, because I've changed to the compose file. And now I've got the happy logo. Okay, so if I take a look here, look at the logs, I can see happy logo and everything is running. Okay, now let's hope that doesn't happen when I try to update the subscription files. So that's the whole point of what we're trying to work toward. So yeah, that's still kind of interesting to see. I'll keep that around. Okay, so now the demo that we did last time is that we did a get sites from the I think we did that from the front end environment, which means that it's going to read from the front end, which is upstream of the back end. So the back end was pushing information into the front end. And we did that, and we got no token, but you are supposed to allow anonymous access. What is going on? So the replicator URL is localhost 8080. It could be that I still have something running on 8080. Let's see if I switch to the backend, if it's able to do that. That also says no token. Interesting. Okay, well, I can see that the backend replicator is getting the same issue. So it's trying to connect to the front-end replicator, and it's getting unauthorized. So something changed. I didn't think I changed this part of the code, but let's see if we can diagnose this on the stream, because that's what we do. Okay, so what is happening inside of these replicators is right here we've got this index TS. So we are starting up, let's go right to the top. We're starting up Express, setting the configured port or 8080, whichever one, and then initializing the Postgres connection to the database that is running inside of that same container. So the Janaga replicator container is based on the Postgres container, so it's all self-contained. And then we look for authentication and subscription and policy files in these folders. So what it should be doing is loading authentication and setting allow anonymous access to true. So if allow anonymous access is true, then from here we will have written out anonymous access is allowed and warn everybody that that's the case. So that gets written out just before here.
We don't see that.
But we don't see it. Huh. Interesting. So something happened here. So it should be that if we find the provider's files Oh, interesting. Okay. Don't know
Even Visual
where
Studio
that
don't want to.
happened. Okay.
Murphy logged in just now.
I guess so. But that's okay. We can, he's just showing us the error of our ways. Okay, so we find provider files. The idea is that it should, if we don't have allow anonymous access, oh, it's just called allow anonymous. It's not called allow anonymous access. But this is, so that's user error. I can fix that, and we can continue with the demo. But there's another error here that if you don't have any files and you don't have the allow anonymous file, then it should fail to start. No, that's not true. No. If you don't have the allow anonymous file, then it starts up and, well, yeah, it should fail to start. I think that's because you don't allow anonymous and you don't have any providers. Or maybe we still have, the provider file is up here. Interesting. Okay. Well, that's just called allow anonymous. I was able to change it. That's good. Okay. And then if I just restart my containers, so stop. We'll let those shut down. And then you can do it. There we go. Start them back up again. Now let's see what's happening. Okay, anonymous access is allowed. All right. So figured out the user error. But yeah, so I will go back and change that code so that it just fails to start if you can't gain access to it. It's completely locked down, which is not an unsafe way to run, but it's not a useful way to run either. Okay. So now we're back to this. We have get sites. And so yeah, the last time we pushed our sites into the back end, they flowed upstream and we did a get from the front end. So repeating that, here's our get from the front end. Well, I just started a brand new mesh, so there are no sites in there. So let's create a site on the back end, and we will see, boom, that was created there, and then that flowed, boom, to the front end. So all that's good, but we want it to flow the other way. So here we are in the back end, and we saw that yeah, we facts saved 2. So we saved 2 facts, and they flowed to the front end, so we didn't actually have to read them. And then on the front end, we had the counter. Yeah, here's the counter. So the first time, the first time through, we didn't read anything, so 0. But then when we pushed to the back end, it pushed to the front end, and so that was facts saved on the front end. That was 2 facts. And then we did a read. We only read 1 because the reader already knew about the other one. So we just read this one. Okay, so now we are back where we were last week. What we want to do is flip the script. I want to be able to write a site to the front end, which is the upstream replicator.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do whatperry.net.
Which in practice will probably be, you don't write to the front end, but you write to the back end too. Back end 2 goes upstream to the front end, and then by subscription it goes to backend 1 then, or the backend.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's a really good point. So, yeah, the model that we're working off right now is this small one right here, where we're just talking about um, uh, connecting directly to this front end cluster, and then the back end would use that front end as an upstream. But yeah, that is not the complete picture. You'll probably want to do something even more involved. And so the picture that we are working toward is the one that is in the book. Let me see if I can pull that up again. So we've got our Immutable Architecture book here, and yeah, so we've got chapter 6. I'm basically building chapter 6. Because the tech reviewer was like, yeah, I was really excited about chapter 6. It looked all great, and then it got to the end, and I was expecting to see, and here's how you can run it, and it wasn't there. So I said, yeah, you're right. That would be awesome. But what we are building up to, we've got several different steps in this chapter. Like this is the typical way to do things, where you have your data store and you've got your distributed cache, and you have to code each of the web servers to read from each one. But this is the Janaga way of doing it, where you've got a replicator in the back end, and then each one has its own replica. So it's able to serve web pages from those replicas. And then they just keep those replicas in sync. So here we are. This is really close to the picture that we are starting with. So we've got our client applications. In this case, our client applications are web servers. So they're generating HTML. But the client application could be the web browser itself, and then connect through the cloud to this replicator here. But we've got our front end replicator. This one's a replicator cluster. We'll get to clusters later. And then our back end replicator. And you can see the back end is using the front end as its upstream. So indicated by the arrows and indicated by the hill. These are lines of topology. So we're at the top of the hill here. So we're going to move from that to where's something closer to that. There's one more picture.
Yeah, but there already you have it. The course catalog sends information to the front end.
Yes.
And so that information might be needed by the students.
Yes. Yes.
So
that information flows uphill. Yes.
Yeah.
But then the students will register for courses, and that information needs to flow somewhere. It doesn't need to flow into the course catalog. The course catalog doesn't care about that. But it does need to flow to something else, which I thought I had. There it is. It does need to flow out to this partner API. So in this example, the students have registered for courses, and then they've taken those courses, they've completed them, and so this replicator needs access to all of those transcripts so that it can exchange those with partner universities. So all of this information that's generated from here needs to flow upstream. Everything does naturally flow upstream, but then this one needs to pull it downstream, and that's what subscriptions are for. Now, I could flip this arrow if I wanted to do that without subscriptions, but that means that all the information would flow out here. And what I want to do here is set up this firewall where we don't allow any information out to this replicator that shouldn't be accessible through this this endpoint. So we want to control the flow of data through our system, and there are two things that do that: one, distribution rules, and two, subscriptions. Distribution rules say no, and subscriptions say yes. Okay, so that is ultimately what we are going to set up. For this demo, we are going to still stick with this topology. Excuse me, but we'll just set up a subscription so that we can see it working. So that means here I can create a new website, michaelperry.net. If I create that in the front end, then that means it won't get pushed to the back end because the arrow is pointing in the opposite direction. I didn't draw the arrows on this picture. I should update that picture, make it clear. So if I create it here and then I read it, first of all, let me go ahead and read from the front end, and that proves that it's on the front end. We can see both of them there. But if instead I read from the back end, we can see it's not there. It has not been pushed through the mesh, through the network. So we want to fix that. We want the back end to be able to pull those in. And so to do that, we need a subscription file. And so here in the, oh, wait a minute. So I already have this one mounted, right? Let me just make sure. Because that demo might have gone the other way. All right, so the backend replicator. Let's look at the files. We've got the var lib replicator subscriptions. Yeah, we do have blog subscription mounted into the backend. It's also mounted in the front end, but the backend's the important one. So that says that I want to subscribe to all of my upstreams, and I want to look for, given a site creator, I want to look for any sites created by that creator. So there's the creator that I'm looking for. If I get sites, is it that I had this wrong? Yeah, that's it. Okay, so the demo worked because this is using a different public key. If I go ahead and paste this one in,
it's autocorrection. Yeah. We'll make sure that.
Yeah. So now it's subscribing to the correct creator. So let's go ahead and save that, and then let's do the get sites. Again, we're looking at the back end, nothing there. Let's restart just the back end replicator, and then we'll see what it does. So we restart, and now it sees a new subscription file. And there we go. So we're restarted. It's going to make a connection to the front end, unless it already has. Yeah, it already has. Wait a minute. No, this is the, yeah, it shut down there. Yeah, and started up here. Oh, let's see. Did it make it to the back end? Run? No, it did not. So we see fax read. We read that one. Why did this subscription not cause it to read from the front end? That is the question. Let's just double check our files, make sure that that made it through. Blog subscription, edit. We can see 4 dashes, whereas before we had 3 dashes, and these are 4 dashes. So that is correct. Yeah, now I am curious. So, creator, Janaga user, site, blog site with site creator. Creator, Janaga user, site, blog site with site creator. Yeah, those are the same specification. Yeah. So, yeah, exciting demo that ends in wah wah. Yeah, I also expected to see. Do I expect to see subscriptions? Yeah, let's just try a quick restart of both of them. Just, I don't know, give it a shot. But yeah, I'm trying to remember, did I put in any logging that showed that I was subscribed to things? Let's go back here and look at our index TS. Okay, so we load our subscriptions. We got all of our subscriptions here, and then we run our subscriptions. First of all, with load subscriptions, I just log errors, and okay, that's something that we can do to test things out to see if it's even getting through here. Is we can put an error into the subscription file and see if it gets logged out. But then when we get to run the subscriptions right here, then it's going to run each one. It's going to start an observer, and yeah, so that observer is just going to look at the starting point of that subscription, all of the facts that were declared ahead of time, and here's the specification, and just start a subscription with true for keep alive. So that makes a connection to the front end, the upstream replicator, and then pulls information down. At least that's the intent. If I take a look now at the logs, I will see it started up. And doesn't look like it, yeah, we've got Postgres doing its Postgres thing, but it doesn't look like it connected, so that means we don't have anything here. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit this trash can, not that trash can, this trash can, to clear the logs. And then that way we don't see all the old starts. We can be sure we're looking at the right one. And then I'm going to change this to introduce an error. So here's our blog subscriptions, our blog subscription file. Let's go ahead and save that. And then here we will restart. So now I've just taken away a required character. This should be an error. And there's no error, so that means it's not even seeing that file. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm curious. I did the pull, I got the latest. I'm wondering if I didn't do the build properly. Let's check the whole path. just make sure that everything is correct. So come back here to the README so I can remind myself how all of this stuff is supposed to work. And down here I've got the got the release plan. So you do an npm version patch and you push, and then that's supposed to do a build based on the push. If we look at GitHub workflows Docker image, then whenever we push to main, but then tag with a V, I didn't have that in my instructions, so I probably didn't do that. Let's see. Need to keep good instructions for yourself. So Janaga replicator. So releases. It says v201 is the latest. That was that's not right. Well, that's releases. That build tag wasn't, or that build rule wasn't based on releases. It was based on tags. So if I go to tags, well, here we go. These are the tags. Yeah, v336 was tagged 2 days ago. Okay, so I did that. Maybe that was in my instructions. Let me go back to my README. Oh yeah, that's right. When you do npm version patch, it creates the tag, and so push follow tags pushes that tag. Okay, so that's the tag, and now actions should have picked that up right here, and so 336 should have been, yeah, in fact, this one right here. This should be where it publishes it to Docker. So I've got my build and push. Yeah, that's the one. So it does the whole Docker build thing, whole bunch of steps, and then it here's the image ID, digest metadata, reference. One of these has got to tell me that it was that one. I don't know. Well, let's make it explicit. Let's make it explicit right here in my Docker Compose. So I am looking for Janaga Replicator 336. Not latest, but 336. Just to see if that was the issue. Okay, so Docker Compose pull. And it says that everything is good. Yeah, it's just complaining about the version label up here, but yeah, just to be sure. Yeah, so that is crazy. Let's take a look at my images, and I've got Janaga Replicator 336 right here. A little bubble is saying that it's in use. That is the one I'm using. Okay, so all of this pointing to the fact that yes, I did distribute this image correctly. So now we're just down to this. It should have loaded subscriptions from this subscription path. And that means that it should have looked for any .subscription files. And we've got, it's coming back to, oh wait, down here, yeah. Subscriptions. Mesh dev environment subscriptions. Yeah, we're not bound to that one. We are bound to this one. Subscriptions. Blog.subscription. Which we saw was in the file mount. Yeah. In fact, we come back here to the container, backend replicator, look at the files. We should see now that it is malformed when we go to edit. And we are missing our quote. Yeah. Okay. So I think what I need to do is add a little bit more logging to this. And so it should write out, these are the subscription files that I have just read in.
Must be somewhere a wrong file or something.
Yeah. Oh, I think I know what I forgot. Let's go back to inspect. Okay, so in here we've got our replicator upstream, which I set as a, it went in my Docker Compose. We also have our Janaga policies folder and our Janaga authentication folder, but no Janaga subscriptions folder. So that was supposed to be part of this Docker file right here. So this makes the folder, declares it as a volume, and then sets the environment variable. And I needed to do the same for subscriptions. So do those things for me, please. Thank you very much, Copilot. I didn't even have to tell you what to do. You just figured it out. So that's what I need to do there. And to show the demo working without having to go through that whole build and push thing, let's just try setting on the backend replicator. Oh, it's already got the environment section right here. Let's set the Janaga subscriptions environment variable here. Not where it should be, but that's where it can be for right now. So Docker Compose down. Pull those things down. Have to do the down and then back up since I changed the compose file. Okay. Yeah, we did see an error. I'll bet you that error was telling us on the backend replicator. Error. Yeah, it probably logged out the error before running this one. Where did it log out the error? Yeah. There should be a log here that says that that was an invalid okay, right here. Yes. Loading from this configuration file, we expected an identifier, but we found this open quote followed by all of this stuff. So now if we just go back in here and change this file, make it correct again. There we go. And restart. Now we should be able to load that properly into the backend. The front end, since it didn't have that environment variable set, it didn't try to run that. So we should see that the front end is running just fine. Yes, front end is good. So back to the back end. What are you telling us now? Now the back end is happy. Okay. All right. So since I created some new replicators, then all my data is gone. So And by the way, if you'd want your data not to be gone, there are instructions on how to preserve your Postgres files when you unmount, create a new container, mount those back in. Those are on the website. So when I get sites right now from the backend, I see there's nothing there. And then if I create a site on the front end, I see I can create it. We should be able to see that the backend has just incremented facts saved. So if I go to the backend and get the sites, there it is. So the backend, since it was using the front end as an upstream, it subscribed and it pulled that site down to the backend. And in fact, if I look at the front end, I should see facts red when the backend did that subscription. So right here, we saved it on the front end, and then facts loaded. Yeah, loaded is different from red. Loaded is when you're using that feed endpoint. So yeah, the backend loaded 1 or 2 facts from the front end. And that happens, you can see the timestamp here, immediately. It happens when it gets saved, so the subscription pulls that information in real time. So there we go. That's
Murphy left the stream.
Yes, Murphy just made sure that I found the error of my ways. So I just need to add this to the Docker file. Add that to the Docker file, and push a new image. And also, before I push that new image, add a little bit of logging here so that we can actually see the subscriptions that are active on any given replicator. That's useful information to have. All right. Yeah, that was a good demo. I enjoyed that one. Yeah, we got to see something break. We got to see all the steps of how how these things work, so that we could trace all those different steps. Yeah. So that's where we are with subscriptions. Yeah, next, you notice that I'm doing everything with no security policies. So allowing anonymous access. So the next thing is, let's go ahead and turn on those security policies. Then we can use Fusion Auth again on the front end. But how does the backend replicator authenticate with the front end? Do we just keep everything wide open inside of the internal network? Just trust our network security only? No. Nope. So there will be a security, an identity answer for replicator to replicator connections.
Because if it is an external replicator, then it becomes even more important.
Yes, indeed. Yes, that is one of the secret hidden use cases that I think I do briefly mention that, but in the book. But yeah, that is ultimately where I'm going. Is that I want replicators across the world, not just in your data center, everywhere.
And we need a good authentication between the replicators.
Yes. Yes, indeed. And fortunately, we have that. It's just a matter of using it.
Yeah, but we have that on the client's level.
Yeah. Yeah, so for machine-to-machine communication, you can still use OAuth, but there's a different flow that is the client credentials flow. So yeah, my immediate plan is to just configure OAuth client credentials flow. First of all, with the authorization rules. So I should be able to give you a JSON object that says, okay, I accept client credentials, and here's the key. And then also some identity rules that say I am a replicator, I'm connecting, and so I'm going to give you my identity. And so here's the key for me to create that identity. The problem with client credentials is that it's a shared key. So that's not quite sufficient. That's not where I'm going to end. But I do want to support client credentials because it's still a popular way to go. And it's, if you control both sides, yeah, it's not bad. But yeah, then even better would be to have a assigned certificate on the client side to say, I'm connecting to you, and you know my public key, or even better, you don't know my public key, but you know the public key of my certificate authority that signed my certificate, and then I use my private key in order to put together a proof of what was that? We talked briefly about proof of
identity.
Yeah. So proof that I am currently holding the private key. But proof of possession. That's what it was. So yeah, you sign a little message that has a timestamp in it, so somebody can't take that message and later use it themselves. They have to, so you have to use the proof of possession. So that's why I'm looking into Depop. So OAuth plus Depop means that I'm proving that I possess that private key, and I can use that access token. Otherwise, here's my access token. All right, thanks. I'm going to use that access token to connect to another replicator on your behalf. It's like, no, we don't want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, there are in security. There are so many special cases where you have to think about.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. I'm glad that there's a security community out there that is actively looking at these things and identifying new protocols as they're needed, like Depop. It's been a known flaw in bearer tokens. OAuth 2, the original author of OAuth was like, nah, this is insecure because bearer tokens. And we're like, well, it's good enough for these use cases, but maybe it's not quite good enough, really good enough. So then, it was only last year that that the Depop standard was officially ratified. Okay, we've got a solution for leaking of bearer tokens. So yeah, let's use that. Yoink. Then take the security policy, the position of everything locked down, and then you deliberately open things up. So that's why, as we discussed earlier, I moved from Janaga Replicator being wide open by default to being shut down by default, and then you have a different image that Janaga Replicator, no security policies. It's right there in the name. You can't trust this image. Only use it for proof of concept. And so that's the one that's wide open by default. So yeah, take that policy, shut things down, open them up as you need, and so with that position, and keeping an eye on security.
The world has changed in that sense. 20 years ago, everything was open, and if you wanted it, you could close it.
Yep.
And now it's exactly the opposite.
Yep.
You install an operating system, and everything is closed, and you have to open it.
Yes.
Yes.
Which actually, that brings up one more thing that I do need to move up on the backlog, and that is quantum safe cryptography. So I'm still using RSA, and AES. But there's a new cryptography stack that is approved for. It's currently believed to be quantum safe. So a lot of really smart mathematicians have been working on all sorts of different proposals, and then trying to hack the other proposals. So yeah, for this stack, it's currently believed that there is no quantum algorithm that could crack this this encryption. Whereas RSA, there's a known algorithm. We just don't have a computer powerful enough to crack an RSA 250 or 2048 key. I'm using 4096, but just a slightly more powerful quantum computer can crack 4096. We don't have that level. Probably won't for the next 5 years or so. But 5 years, I don't know.
It's so fast.
Yeah.
So this new algorithms, for when will they be used? For example, by banks.
Yeah.
It's still under test,
they are,
or
no, they are official now. I think. Yeah, I'm not certain of the timeline, so I don't want to lie to you, but yeah, the NIST recommendations now are to start migrating to these new protocols. So yeah, we should see banks and ISPs and everyone migrating to these protocols. So yep, I should do so as well.
Yeah. It's good to be ahead of things.
Yep. Indeed. Okay. Well, that was an exciting demo. Yeah, next week we will see if we've got the identity thing going on with the client credentials.
I will. Let's see. I'm the 16th of February. Going to visit my family-in-law, and I will be back the 3rd. So the 20th and the 27th of February, 20th and 27th, I will not be there.
Okay. All right. So that means we've got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, three sessions before you leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. It'll all be done by then. And then you can show your family, look, Docker Compose up, and all of this stuff works.
Yeah. Who knows? No, what there is nobody in informatics over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that could change. A lot of the young people are marrying, so they could marry to somebody who's in informatics.
Yeah, there's got to be that you're probably that family member that that knows technology, and so it's like, hey, my iPad's broken. Hey, let's call Jan.
No, my family-in-law, they live in Malaysia, so Singapore and Malaysia.
Okay, so hopefully they've got somebody local that is their technology person.
Well, they have a lot of very clever people over there.
Oh yes.
So there is no problem. And
excellent.
I think more and more they are going. They are more advanced than we are. Before it was the opposite, but now, yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, and that's where I want to see adoption. I want to see all of these cultures that are really digging into to technology, building new things. I want them to to adopt things that are going to make their systems more reliable. That's really what historical modeling and Janaga is all about. They make them more safe. Well, that's why I'm spending so much time on this now. Make sure that it's safe. Yeah, let's get that deployed. See what they can build on top of this stuff.
All right, then we see each other next week.
Next week.
And I'm not gonna forget to plug in the camera next week.
Very good. All right.
Okay.
Well, see you then, Jan.
Michael, see you next week. Bye
Bye.
bye.